If you're an Olight fan, you probably have our products in several different colors. Maybe you're on Team Desert Tan. Maybe you prefer OD green, maybe even orange or blue. Well, today we are in Zhongshan, China, which is right outside of Shenzhen where our headquarters is. And we are here at the Anodizing Factory where we put those colors onto the flashlights. And I'm gonna show you how we do it. If you are interested in Olight products whatsoever, or how metal has different colors, you do want to watch this video, so don't click away. Let's go ahead and walk in. We're now in the first room of the process. And I hope that you watched my video last year where I was at our CNC center where we take raw blocks of material and machine the flashlight parts out of that. Well, once the parts are machined, they are brought here. Right here we have a bunch of pallets and they have parts on them. And at the CNC center, they put the parts into these little trays and then they are brought here. Next, we have this little conveyor section, and she is putting all of the parts into these little trays here. And that is going to be the first start of prepping the material in order for it to be anodized. So here we are putting some tail caps. This looks like a Seeker 4 Pro tail caps. We've got some Seeker 4 Pro bodies that just went through here. Yeah? So this is basically just a prep center for the machined bodies to go to the next section of the process. And now those trays are being picked up by this robotic arm, and those trays are being put into this system right here that is going to start dipping the parts into various washing chemicals and things like that. So we're going from the trays into the little opening area here where it's going to start dipping everything in. And this is really, really amazing. They don't want human beings doing this because it needs to remain as clean as possible and efficient as possible. So it makes much more sense to have the robot taking care of this process versus having someone pick it up and put it in there themselves. We are now going to walk up to the line where they start washing the components to prep them for the anodizing. So let's go upstairs and start showing you everything. This is really cool stuff, guys. All right. So if you're not familiar with the anodizing process, maybe you think that we're spraying the products or something like that, but actually the way that we get the color on the aluminum is by dipping it into various baths, basically. So you can look at it, we basically have this series of baths and each one is a new process. So a lot of it is cleaning the components. So again, they are prepared and clean enough to actually have the color be impregnated into the material. So if you want to just take a look here, you can see it's basically just a whole bunch of different baths. And that tray that the components are inside of is going to be picked up by an arm, moved to a bath, lowered into the material, and then it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be picked up again, brought to the next bath, dropped down. That process is going to occur, and then it's going to raise it up. So it's a very just logical step process. I mean, it basically is just going to drop the products into each bath. Now, most of this line is cleaning the products. It has to be as clean as possible, and they have to make sure that the aluminum is prepared in order to be sandblasted and then go into the next process, which I will show you soon. But we can just kind of like walk through here and we can show you what's going on. I'll even open this up so you can get a better look of what's going on in here. But again, it's basically just a series of baths with, you know, different chemicals in each water, so that way it is fully prepared. And I'll go ahead and just walk you down just to give you an idea of how large this place is. And we can just keep walking down and down and down. And so it's a pretty extensive process. Now, once it's as clean as possible, it's gone through all of these baths, now we're gonna go to the drying area, where it's basically a dryer. It is very, very hot in order to dry it as efficiently as possible. But you can see how this is the last bath right here. And then here is all of the dryers. So we go through this entire drying process, and we'll just keep going through. And so there's several. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And then once the drying process is finished, it's going to, again, grab the components and it's going to bring it all the way down here to where it can be picked up by another robot, and it's going to be brought to the next area of the process. And let's go ahead and walk down these stairs and I can show that to you. So we'll just come down here. And so here's the very end of the line that we were just at. And again, we've got another little robot right here. And it's going to pick up all of those little baskets that were being picked up at the other end and move it into the next process. And we'll walk through here now. So now all of the flashlight parts have been thoroughly cleaned in that bath process and dried. So now they're here in this room. Look how beautiful these components are. I'm not going to touch them. The people who actually handle these wear gloves and things like that, but this is some of the cleanest aluminum that you will ever see. So they're putting it in these trays. This is actually the bodies of the Seeker 4 Pro, and back here, this is the battery plates for the back of the ArcFeld Pro. If you look at the back of the ArcFeld Pro, this is the plate that is sealing all of the internal components. So they are prepping and being put into these trays so that they can go to the sandblast area, which is very exciting. Let's go there now. The next step is for all of the components to be sandblasted. This room is extremely loud, so we're gonna go ahead and show you everything without me talking in the room, but I will guide you through. So let's go ahead and go into this room and you can check it out. The flashlight components have now been thoroughly cleaned, dried, and sandblasted. Take a look at how incredible this aluminum is. So now we're going to take these components. This is a Seeker 4 Pro tail cap right here, by the way, and we are going to put it into all of these trays. After that, we're going to take these trays and we're going to lift them up onto this lift system, and it's going to take all of these components up here into the ceiling and into the next room. The next room is where we're going to start the anodizing process. So this is kind of the final step before we really get into changing the colors of the flashlights. The components just left the previous room. They came down on this lift, now here to the front of the anodizing line. This is the main room at this facility. This is where most of the work is being done. So we're gonna spend probably the rest of the video here in this room. We've got the components right here, and now they're going to be put into this lift system where it's going to pick these trays up and it's gonna start dunking it into a new set of baths. So now we're going to walk up and start showing you all of the baths that the materials are gonna be dunked into. Let's go. Now we are up here in the anodizing area. This is basically set up like a NASCAR track. So we've got this line right here, and this is the beginning, and it's gonna go all the way down to the end of this hallway. And then it's going to wrap around and come all the way back on this side. So the start and the end is actually in the same place. It's a big U, so we're going all the way around the racetrack to the same turns. So we put the components into the alkaline chemical, and then we put it here into the polishing chemical. Now we need to neutralize it. So we're gonna bring it into the next chemical bath so we can neutralize it from those procedures that happened before. And we're gonna go ahead and just keep walking down and take a look right here, guys. So here is the arm, and it's picking up some tail caps, and there you go. It's gonna go down, and it's gonna drop it into the next bath. And that is basically what's happening here, is we are just going from one bath to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So it's basically just this kind of assembly line. It's this really, really nice flow to each process. Now, one of the obvious questions that I had was, when you dip the metal into the different colors, how does the metal accept that color and hold the color? And this is the process that allows that to happen. Here we have components that are sitting in this bath. What this bath is doing is creating a chemical reaction where it is building micropores in the aluminum material to where it will be able to accept the dye to change the color of the metal. And these components are actually gonna sit in this bath for 1 hour to create all of those little micro holes into the material so that it can hold the dye. And when we dip the components into, say, a desert tan dye, it will remain that color. So once the components have sat in the chemical component to open up the pores of the material for an hour, we are going to wash again. Now keep in mind that is happening at a micro level. So when we dip it into the water, it doesn't have any effect on those little micropores that we created into the material. But we have to make sure that it's clean. So here we have more and more and more washing. Just washing, 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 making sure that the material is clean so that we can get to the next section where we actually change the colors of the metal. Now we are at the very end of the first line. I'm gonna walk down these steps and show you how the big U-turn works. We're going to put those cages with the components into this little lift system, and you can see here we have a little track, and it's going to bring the components from this line over to the beginning of the next line. So we're making a big U-turn right here at the back of the line and going to the beginning of the next. Now we're at the beginning of the second line. We've got 2 more washing baths before it goes into the next section where we are finally changing the colors of the aluminum. Right here, we have tan. So yes, if you have any tan lights at home, this is where it became tan. And we have some products in there right now. So the process is really happening in real time as we're making this video. So we've got the tan right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other colors. Check this out. Look at this. Do you like midnight blue? Because that is where our products become midnight blue. Let me ask you this. Are you on team OD green? Because this is where Olights become OD green. It's really incredible, guys. Like, this is where it happens. This is how we change the colors and create all of those cool colorways of the Olights that you guys have at home. Now, once the products have been dyed and they have been washed, well, their first wash, this guy is going to grab one of them and test the color. So we have a QC set up right here. So he's going to take the product. Right here we have a Desert Tan Perrin 2 head, and he's going to use this machine and he's going to test the color and make sure that it is correct. If there's something wrong about the color of this tan, they're going to scrap it, figure out what went wrong, fix it, and do another batch. So here we are, our first QC of the dyeing process, which happens literally right after the material has been dyed. After that QC desk, there are a few other colors that are in the works on this line. One of them is orange. I know we got a lot of fans of orange Olights, so this is where it happens. It's actually back there, but right here is where they do the washing of the orange, and you can see the color of the water there. The color is so potent that even the washing liquid has turned completely orange. Now let's go ahead over to the black. Obviously, one of our most popular colorways is black with the blue accents. So this is where we are creating the black colorway for Olights. This is so potent right here. The black anodizing is extremely strong from us, and this is where that's happening. One thing I want to let you guys know about is it only takes 10 minutes for the dye to get into the material. So the process where the components are sitting in the dye is only 10 minutes when it gets into more and more of the washing afterwards. Now on the previous line, we put the aluminum into the chemical reaction to open pores in the material, and then we put the dye into those pores. Now we need to seal those pores. So what this bath is doing right here, and it's actually happening, there's a bunch of components that are in it, and this chemical reaction is sealing those pores. It takes an additional hour for that process to happen. So it's 1 hour to open the pores, 10 minutes in the dye, and then of course quite a few washing processes. And then we go into the chemical here to seal those pores. So now the dye is really in the material and it won't rub off or come off no matter how much you use your flashlight. Now the light is anodized, but it has to go through so many other washing processes before it's finalized. So here we have just more washing, washing, washing. We even have some ultrasonic washing right over there. And then again, just more and more and more washing until we get to the very end, which is the drying area. So it's just basically a little low heat oven, and it's going to dry all of the components quickly. And then we are back to where we started. And this is where the finished components are going to be taken away. The components are dyed, sealed, cleaned, and dried. Now they are brought back into the room where the components started. Again, we're in the room with this big orange lift system, and we have the finished colored components. Right here you can see the back plates for the ArcFeld Pro. We've got orange right here, we've got OD green right there. This is the little plate that holds the battery in the ArcFeld Pro. We also have some tan Boulder Minis right here as well. And this is just a taste of all the products that are colored here. I mean, obviously there's a lot going on, and this is a very, very busy place because we are producing thousands and thousands of flashlights, and all of them are in a certain color, have that be the black, the tan, the orange, the blue, and all of the other colorways that you may have at home. And this right here is the end of the process. I know this video ran a little bit long, but I just want us to be fully transparent with you guys and show you how we make these products. And if you didn't watch all of the videos that we did last year at the other facilities that we have with assembly, CNC machining, and so much more, please make sure to check those out. I'm actually gonna put a link in the description down below if you want to see videos of the other manufacturing processes that we do here at Olight. I hope this was really interesting for you guys. I really think it's interesting how we make Olights all of these colors. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys in the next one.